Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, I just thought I would remind some sisters and just maybe even some brothers in general that husbands are a prize. And you, as a wife, even if you have disagreements with your husband sometime, you should still be able to see that you have the wonderful opportunity of being married. And it's up to you to try to make it work when you have difficult times. Practicing forgiveness is something that you'll find yourself doing quite often. And when you choose to stay instead of walk away and work on things, that is a wonderful thing. And sometimes when you find yourself becoming dulled with your husband, remember how you felt when you first met him. And be cautious of thinking that just because you're in your peak of beauty, that you're the only one that matters, and that you're the prize, and that he somehow isn't really anything except a conductor for the lifestyle that you want. It's a very negative way of viewing men, even if his behavior is poor in terms of how he upholds his responsibilities, or maybe he has a jahiliyyah past, something like that. You still have to remember that marriage is something that is good. Marriage is something that is superior to divorce. I recall the hadith that talks about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates divorce. I have the screenshot in my phone. Maybe I'll include it at the end of the video, just for reference for those who don't recall. But if you have the hadith, just go to the sections on divorce and you'll find it. So we should always remember, when you want to get married, when you are married, that your husband is a prize, and you should treat him as such. You really should. I know there's a lot of women out there who give advice that you should do as little as possible for him, so that if and when he goes, you're not really at a deficit, that you don't feel like you put in a lot, because then you will have resentment. There's these sort of mind games that they push people to do. Now, I don't think that's really sustainable, because if you don't treat someone like a prize, then they feel worthless. And if you want your marriage to last, you definitely don't want to make him feel like he doesn't matter, because then it's harder to build trust and hard for him to want to invest in you. And so be cautious of not appreciating that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed you to get married. And he will have his faults and you will have yours. And so it is important to pause, reflect, and think of how many women want to be married but they are not. And I've heard some feminists say, well, being married isn't anything noteworthy because so many people are unhappy in their marriages. But they often forget how lonely it can be to not have that masculine energy around. How it is a rejuvenating force. It's a sort of alchemical balance. Instead of being surrounded by women who are past their prime and have no children, have no husbands, and they're kind of bitter and resentful, thinking that that energy is healthy and gonna replace a loving masculine husband, it's just not the same. And so be cautious of women who tell you husbands aren't a prize, because a husband is a prized possession. He is something to be grateful for. And if you're unhappy with your prize, well, maybe you have to look at what did you do to attract something like that, and why did you accept in the first place. Personal accountability and practicalism really matter. You have to be a realist in terms of what kind of husband you qualify for, what kind of husband you can get, and what do you offer him, and your standards. It's very popular now for women to put on some fake eyelashes, a wig, and have a filter and then think that, they're entitled to really high up echelons of men. Be very cautious of listening to witches and wigs. You should be very careful, because many of them will lead you astray. And remember how there's the knowledge, like jinns will tell a soothsayer 1,000 lies and one truth. Recall that a lot of witchy occultic women will drop in nuggets of truth that you have to sift through like a panhandler, but then they poison the well with the other knowledge that they give you. And a lot of those occultic women, they don't value their husbands, but rather they value money. And so they can't really give you sound spiritual advice, because what they are after is materialism, lifestyle, not affection. And some of them have seen such the dark sides of men that they have been permanently become resentful. And that's a difficult thing for them to overcome, and some of them don't want to overcome it. So you need to be very careful with who you listen to concerning men. And no matter how many times you've been hurt by men, you must understand that we need them. And if we didn't need men, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have never created Adam in the first place. Peace be upon him. It's essential for us to remember that men are our caretakers. They are to look after us. And even if we ourselves didn't get that opportunity, we still wouldn't want to deprive our sisters of such a wonderful blessing. And so, no matter which way you square it, husbands are a prize. And if you just sit down, go somewhere peaceful if you can, or in the night, however you go into your peaceful moments, and think about how husbands are a prize, to be something to be valued, cherished, appreciated, to be in awe of, then it'll shift your heart, which will make you more romantic, make you feel more at peace, less afraid, less full of anxiety, and more able to tolerate the days where he can be mean, or even you'll be able to, inshallah, feel more satisfaction on the days where he does something a little extra for you. So, have that personality trait where you understand that having a husband is a prize, and it's something to be adored of, because there are lots of single women who wish that they could have a man to take them out of their predicament. Where there's a lot of ungrateful women in what we would call the first world, who already have so much bounty, but they still want to upgrade their husband. So these women are a volcanic pit that whatever is thrown into them disintegrates, and they are never satisfied. They always want more, and they always feel entitled to more. And they don't relish in their trophy. A husband is like a trophy. It is like a prize. Because that's someone who has decided to spend some time with you on this temporary planet. Think about that. And you'll have your good days, your bad days. There might be seasons where you feel a little bit disillusioned. But if you can come back from it, and if you can keep trying, then I truly think that you will see him more as a prize. So be cautious of women who whisper you away from your husband, who make you think that you can't fix problems, and that you shouldn't practice forgiveness, and that you should focus on getting even. Because once you lose this idea of your husband being a welcoming gift, then you're more susceptible to be cruel. And remember, he'll have the Huri Alain in paradise. And they're waiting for him. And you can't get around that. And so, value him here, because he's always going to be someone's prize. Remember that. So, be mindful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from having callous hearts and uncontrollable egos and make us steadfast upon his religion. Until next time,